The crowd sure got their money's worth on Thursday night with two epic roller coaster women's semifinals back to back. I'll talk about how Aryna and Amanda prevailed in their respective battles against Jessica Pegula and Naomi Osaka, and look ahead to their final on Saturday. What's good? My name is Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post my women's final recap video. Amanda Anisimova, she won a 3-hour thriller against Naomi Osaka by a score of 6-7, 7-6, 6-3 to reach her second straight slam final and her first slam final at her home major. The theme of this Osaka, there are a few themes of this Osaka Anisimova. First, returning baseline battles and just mental toughness really from both players, but especially Amanda. And I feel like that Wimbledon finals loss actually really helped her win this match. Naomi started off the stronger of the two. She broke and went up 2-love, 40-love, triple break points. And I thought at this point it would be a wrap because we had already gotten an edgy semifinal between Sabalenka and Pegula, and I thought that it'd just be too good to be true to have two back-to-back bangers like that. And I'd say, okay, we'd have to have a letdown, but definitely I was mistaken. And I think this hold, Amanda being able to survive this game, even though she lost this set, I think winning that game may have helped her win this match because it gave her much needed momentum, because I could have seen Naomi just run away with the opening set had she had gotten that break. So I think Amanda gave herself belief by making the first set as close as it was compared to if, again, Naomi ran away with it. But after Amanda held to bring it to 2-1, she pulled off a boomerang break to level it at 2-all. And then that kind of continued or started a pattern of breaks in the first set, and we have 4 total breaks in the first set and 6 breaks in the second set. And that was surprising because Naomi and Amanda are both great servers, and they served relatively high first serve percentage in this match. It was around 64 to 66 range percentage for Naomi in the opening 2 sets compared to around 60 to 62 for Amanda. So again, not bad at all. But looking back at the match and looking back at some of the points, I think it's just because these ladies returned so well. And you could argue that, yeah, they could have hit their spots better on serves at times, but they hit so many quality returns. Even when they were out of position, they're just able to neutralize so quickly and immediately off of 110 mile per hour serves at times. And now I know it's not their games, but I think they could have benefited from serving and volleying on the first serve, because a lot of times when they hit their spots, especially when they hit their spots well on the first serve, the returns just kind of came back up the middle. So they could have benefited from serving and volleying. I know that might seem outlandish, but I think some coaches, namely, I guess, Tomas with Karowski, can incorporate maybe that in Naomi's game. But both opening sets, they obviously went to tiebreaks, and I think the winners of each set were very deserved. I say that because Naomi in the first set, she obviously won the first set tiebreaker. She had the advantage for most of the opening set. She led 5-3-2, but ultimately got in trouble being 2 points away from losing the first set at 5-6, but she was still able to get it done over the finish line for the opening set. And in the second set, Amanda led by a break on 3 separate occasions, but Naomi, she never had a break lead. And then also Amanda found herself in trouble too in the second set, as she was 3 points from losing at 5-6. I think it's really fitting that the results were what they were, because both won the tiebreaks playing their clear respective game strategies, which coming into the match, which for Naomi, it was targeting the sometimes shakier Amanda forehand, which committed 4 errors on that side alone in the opening set breaker. And then in the second set tiebreak, Amanda beat Naomi with pace. That was her winning strategy. And Osaka just could not handle that weight of shot, especially when the balls were directed up the middle, as it took away some of her angles and some of her strategy of trying to move Amanda wide. And of course, Amanda also, she beat Naomi up the line a few times too, which we all knew would happen. The final set was very similar to Sabalenka Pegula, which I'll mention later. But the level from the woman who lost here, Naomi, it was still very high in this third set. She finished with 8 winners, 5 unforced errors in set number 3. And I don't think it was a case of Naomi fading away like she did in the Montreal final. She still played a very high level. But truly one break decided this match, and that came at 2-1 in the third set. And it just was not a great serving game from Naomi. 3 out of the 4 points Amanda won in this game Naomi missed her first serve, and Amanda was pouncing on that immediately. Osaka's serve level, though, improved after she got broken, as she only dropped 3 more points on her serve after that game for the rest of the match. But Amanda just was not backing down. I was very impressed. She was still red hot from the ground, really ever since she was down love 15, 5-6 in the second set. As in the third set, she finished with 16 winners to just 9 unforced errors. I do think Naomi's ground strokes just weren't penetrating the court through the court as much, and she wasn't getting that same angle and direction, and Amanda just simply feasted most of the times. Now, I had true heart palpitations in that final 5-3 game. Amanda had 2 match points, and Naomi erased them playing solid tennis, and then Naomi had 2 break points, but Amanda erased them with just clean winners on both points, and she ultimately sealed the deal with 2 more incredible shots that you could basically say were winners too. I think Naomi could have been a little bit more aggressive around this time, but just credit has got to be given to Amanda. I don't fault Naomi for maybe being a little bit more tentative, because I would have expected Amanda to kind of fold and give me unforced errors too, but that was just not happening. And Amanda just showed so incredible mental toughness and just clutchness throughout this entire match. First, her fighting back, I mentioned this earlier, her fighting back from love 2, love 40 down in the first set. Even when things were not looking good around that point, even Renee Stubbs mentioned, she stayed so positive throughout that part of the match, and that helped her throughout this match. She stayed positive for most of it. And also that 1-2 game in the second set, she was down 15-30. The momentum was fully with Naomi, not fully, but strongly with Naomi around this point. I think that if she had gotten the break Osaka did at this point, she would have taken the match in straight sets, honestly. But of course, and she didn't fold. And then of course she did not fold at all in the third set when her back was against the wall so many times. Credit to Naomi too for her fight. She's really fought hard all tournament, and I think whenever she's gotten broken, she showed frustration, but she didn't let it impact her that much, because oftentimes she broke right back and just went right back to work. It's going to be another heartbreaking loss for Naomi, and I know she is tired of Amanda, especially facing her at hard court slams, because the last time they played on hard courts was the 2022 Australian Open third round, where Naomi had 2 match points but ultimately lost 7-6 in the third set. But still, Naomi should be so proud of herself after this run, and I think she had a great positive mentality and perspective about things after her match. She said that she didn't even feel really sad, and it was weird for her that she didn't feel sad, and that she kind of felt content knowing that she did the best that she could. And she said, honestly, it's kind of inspiring for me, because it makes me just want to train and try to get better and hopefully give it my best shot again. But she says she can't be mad or upset at herself, and I fully agree. I don't think she really did much or anything wrong here. I mean, she fought her hardest and she tried her best, and Amanda was simply the better player. Like she said, she should be inspired by her form, and I think she is definitely going to be a big contender for the 2026 Australian Open. And for this to only be her second tournament with Tomas Witkowski is incredible. And I made a few jokes on Twitter that Patrick Mouratoglou, he would probably be happy with this result, because people were on his neck after every Naomi win, because people were saying, oh, Patrick is such a trash coach, yada, yada, yada. I have more to say about that later in my deep dive video. Still coming, y'all. It's still coming. I know I've been pushing it back, but it's still coming. But I do think that Tomas and Naomi have some work to do. She's come so far with her game, and I think her game has evolved nicely in the short time span of them working together, to where she's been much more of a consistent player. And I thought that was ultimately what would get her over the finish line here in this match, and that's why I had her winning this one, because I thought that Amanda, her riskier gameplay wouldn't hold up in the tight moments, but it ultimately did. However, I think it's interesting that the big hitters, Naomi's last few losses, or at least her last 3 or 4 losses, have come against notable big hitters. Pavlyuchenkova at Wimbledon, you had Mboko in DC, and then now here at the US Open, Amanda Anisimova. And quick side note, Naomi said something funny in her press conference, is that Amanda there's no pattern to what she's doing. It's like she kind of hits at the empty court or whatever, and it usually goes in. But Naomi, she's clearly mastered the baseline game right now, but she needs to incorporate more variety, because still there are times where, like in the Montreal final loss against Mboko, she sprayed. And I think that my friend made a great point of, if Muhova was 100% healthy, she might have beaten Amanda because Amanda loves facing against a good ball striker. She loves having some battles from the ground. But I think if Naomi changed things up a little bit, incorporated maybe some slices, some drop shots, some even coming into the net herself or drawing Amanda in, she could have had more success in those tight moments. So I think that was where she lost the match. But ultimately, it's nothing really she could do at this point because it wasn't in her game, but it's just something maybe she can add onto her game later on, because I think that's the next step right now. She's there mentally, I feel. She's there overall with her movement and her physicality. I've been very impressed with that aspect. Now it's just adding more stuff to her game. But yeah, a great match from Naomi and a great tournament from her. And she's now back inside the top 15 at number 14 in the rankings, in the live rankings. And like I said before, she's going to be a pretty strong title favorite for the Australian Open 2026. Now on to Amanda. Got to give her more praise. Just overall, her recovery after Wimbledon, can't say that enough. Excellent. I think it helped her, actually. And Amanda, she has a chance at redemption in the finals now, which is incredible, her making a final after being double bageled. And ESPN is so messy for that statistic of them saying she's the first woman to get double bageled at a major final to then go on and make another final the exact next major. That is so messy. Y'all better not keep that up and say she's the first woman to win a major after getting double bageled in the previous major. Leave her alone. But anyways, her chance at redemption will come in the finals against Aryna Sabalenka, who got a solid 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 victory over Jessica Pegula. And Aryna, she achieved quite a bit with this victory. She became the first woman to make 3 slam finals in a single season since Angelique Kerber in 2016. She's also the first woman to make 3 consecutive U.S. Open finals since Serena did it from 2011 to 2014. And then also Sabalenka is the first woman to make 6 straight hard court slam finals since Martina Hingis in 1998 and 1999. Now, while Aryna got the walkover victory from Marketa Vondrousova in the quarterfinals, she fully had to earn this semifinal win. And I was surprised at how well she started the match. She still served very well, as she has been throughout this entire tournament, but her return was also sharp, which aided her in getting that early break. But Pegula stepped up soon after she was broken, and she took advantage of Sabalenka's serve dipping, and she also came up with some incredible passing shots, which truly rattled Sabalenka even more, and she reeled off 4 straight games to take the opening set. Pegula, though, was not able to sustain her level, and her first serve dipped tremendously in this second set. It dropped 30 percentage points, exactly to be exact, from 77% first serves in the first set to 47% first serves in the second set. Also, Pegula started spraying a little bit more from the ground, and Sabalenka was the more solid of the two from the ground, and she was just solid enough to maintain her lead. And she also was pretty untested on her serve, not facing a single break point in set number 2. Overall, very good from Aryna. Now, the third set was a different story because Sabalenka was tested a lot more and faced 4 total break points in the decider. She faced 3 break points at 3-2 and then another one at 4-3. There's really nothing JPEG did wrong, though, on these break points. Sabalenka was simply too good. You got to give it to her. 3 of those 4 break points Sabalenka saved from clean winners, and the fourth break point, or the other break point, was from a forced error she drew from Pegula. JPEG did have a few slight openings in the final game where Sabalenka tried to serve it out at 5-4. She needed 3 match points, Aryna did, and I thought after she might crumble, especially after that overhead miss, that easy overhead miss on match point number 1. But that bringing in another theme, the big theme here was Sabalenka's mental resilience, because I even texted my friend. I said, yeah, she's doing good now, but I feel like a third set crumble is imminent. The Sabalenka from 2021, 2022 would have for sure lost this match because it just gave that type of match. But I think it's beautiful to clearly see that she's learned a lot from those semifinal losses. And now the wild thing is, Pegula was actually, you could argue she was the better player in the third set. At least she was the better server, because she won 2 more points than Sabalenka did in the deciding set. And then after she got broken to start the third set, she didn't drop another service point. I think she won 16 service points in a row, which she hilariously tweeted about. It's a tough loss for Jessie, another one. Chris Everett was like, oh, sweetie pie, you'll get your slam, darling. I don't know if she gets the slam. I think this was perhaps an even better opportunity for JPEG to get the slam because Sabalenka was not playing as good this US Open compared to last year's. And I think that she might have been a little bit more of a favorite against Anisimova in this final compared to especially last year's slam final against Sabalenka. Now, talking about the women who are in the final, Sabalenka and Anisimova, I feel like a lot of people are considering Amanda the favorite. She does lead the head-to-head 6-3, and this is their third straight slam meeting of the season. Aryna won their Roland Garros fourth round match in straight sets. Amanda then got revenge and won their last meeting at Wimbledon in the semifinals in 3 sets. I think that also people are considering Anisimova the favorite here is because she's been playing better tennis this tournament. I think it's clear. Sabalenka, she has been serving strong, but the return, it's still an issue. It's ridiculous that she let Pegula win all those points in a row from her serve. Pegula was not serving bombs like that. It was no Naomi Osaka serving from her. And that return also let her down badly in that semifinal loss to Anisimova. I mentioned that a lot in my analysis video. I think also it's a little bit of a tricky matchup for Sabalenka. Aryna, she tends to tussle a lot more with the bigger, clean ball strikers like an Amanda Anisimova. And Wimbledon was worse for her too because the ball went through the court a little bit more and it kind of rushed her on her forehand. I do think here in this final, Aryna will look for more forehand-to-forehand rallies because Amanda's forehand, while it's been looking good, it's still a little bit vulnerable under pressure. And I think that Sabalenka's forehand is the stronger wing of the two. Now, Amanda has the clear advantage on the backhand wing because it's been a big talking point that Sabalenka's backhand has not been great the past few months. I think Anisimova, she also has the clear advantage with her return as well. As I mentioned, Sabalenka's return hasn't been as strong, whereas Anisimova's return has been phenomenal this entire event. I think comparing form, Amanda should win this final, but other factors are at play that could have me give the edge to Sabalenka. First, that revenge factor. Aryna is going to be very keen to not only get revenge from that semifinal loss at Wimbledon, but also she's not going to want to lose a third final in a single season. She doesn't want that to happen. And I think that she will maybe learn from those mistakes, like she said, from Roland Garros and from the Australian Open. So maybe those mistakes will help her and get her over the hump here. Sabalenka, I think, will also have much more left in the tank here. She did get that walkover from Vondrousova in the quarterfinal, but it's kind of giving a similar run for Amanda that she had at Wimbledon here because she has such a big and epic semifinal that finished at 1 in the morning. Will she be gassed in this final, especially if things are pushed the distance? That's a big question that begs an answer. Sabalenka, too, she's just been so clutch this tournament. She's only gotten broken 4 times, and she has saved 22 break points total, which is exceptional. I could see this one going to 2 tiebreak sets and her taking it in 2 tiebreaks because she right now is the queen of tiebreaks, winning, I think, 18 in a row. Now, on the flip side, Anisimova will have the advantage of the crowd. She will have more crowd support than Pegula last year, although I'm not considering this as much of a factor in impeding Aryna because she just dealt with Pegula here in the semifinal. And she also dealt with Pegula in the final, although, again, I think that Amanda might receive even more crowd support because people are fully aware of her story and her would-be redemption arc from Wimbledon. Now, side note, I know Sabalenka is tired of facing an American in a final. Her last 4 slam finals now have come when she's faced an American. I know she's utterly tired of it. I would be too. But I have to admit, there are just 2 very different vibes I have with these runs. With Amanda, it's something that gives a Keys Australian Open type of vibe with her run. It's like it's written in the stars. You know what I mean? Whereas Sabalenka, it kind of reminds me of Novak's 2016 US Open run where he got to the finals not playing his best tennis, got like a little bit of luck from withdrawals or whatever, and opponents not playing great, only to lose to the clearly superior player in the finals, Stanislav Wawrinka. That's kind of what I'm getting here. And I feel like Amanda, not only does she have the head-to-head edge and the matchup advantage, but she has been playing better here than at Wimbledon, too. And I think she believes in herself a lot more, and I just have that feeling that it could be her time. I think that she's, again, going to learn more from Wimbledon, and she's going to use it more as fuel. So, like I said, I think it's her time, and I think I'm going to have her win it in 3 sets. That is all I have for my US Open semifinal. Y'all bear with me. I'm running on literally, 1 hour of sleep, and it's 5 in the morning, so I don't even know what I'm doing. But thank y'all. I'm just going to cut it short. Y'all know the drill. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for the support, and I'll see y'all next time here on Christian's Court.